Hello everyone and welcome back to Age Nagash, channel dedicated to Age Sigmar, and in this video we're going to be returning to the MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE in their army archive, and in particular we're going to be looking at the Tamurkhan Horde. So this is going to be their units. Now firstly, what I want to say about this video is that it is very hot where I am in the Garden of England, which is Kent, where I believe today it's been like 37 degrees or something. So you may hear a slight buzzing in the background, which is a fan. However, if you would have wanted me to have not done this with the fan, I would have melted to death. There's no other way around it. I've survived the last few days wearing body armour in this heat, and then today I think, I don't know, it's gone up about 4 more degrees and I just can't take it. So that is why there is a fan. And that is why there may be a slight noise in the background. I've done my best to try and reduce that noise, but just in case you guys wonder. And because of this, we are going to make this video not too long. It's going to be a bit more brief, and there's not too many units in the army anyway, so that's fair enough. Especially how I normally make these videos about an hour or something, so there's no need really for it to be that long. So with no further ado, let us go into this. So firstly, what I am going to talk about is its mini allegiance. So yes, this is an allegiance within an allegiance. So if you take a Tamurkhan Horde army, use its allegiance, it is used within the MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE allegiance. So what does that exactly mean? I'm going to read through the description just so it's all sort of understood. So Tamurkhan Horde army, after you have chosen the MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE allegiance for your army, you can give it the Tamurkhan Horde keyword. All MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE units in your army gain that keyword, with the exception of named characters that do not already have the Tamurkhan Horde keyword on their war scroll. All units with that keyword benefit from the allegiance abilities listed in the addition to allegiance abilities in the battle tome MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE. And then it leads us on to a designer note which says a Tamurkhan Horde army can include any of the units from the battle tome MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE, as well as any of the units in that compendium. By the same token, a MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE army can include any of the units from this compendium, even if it is not a Tamurkhan Horde army. Okay, so that's got that understood. Right, so going into the allegiance abilities for this, so Winds of Corruption, subtract 1 from running charge rolls for enemy units. That's generally pretty big. That's better than you getting +1 to charge. Yes, getting +1 to charge for yourself, you know, and run are good because you get those guaranteed 3-inch charges. However, this is just going to really nerf the enemy in ways they can't expect. So let's say they need that, 3-inch charge. Even if they made a way for them to get +1 inch to it, now it's not guaranteed, first off. However, they still just need a 3-inch charge. Now they need a 4-inch charge, which is still more than likely you'll get on 2 dice, but means that you're not only going to fail it by a double 1 now. Okay, and then the command ability. You can use this command ability, which is Shout of Command, at the start of your charge phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Tamurkhan Horde hero. You can reroll charge rolls with friendly Tamurkhan Horde units while they are wholly within 14 inches of that hero in that phase. Yeah, not the best command ability, but you know, it could be useful. Right, okay, going into the command trait, we have a Tamurkhan Horde general must have this command trait instead of one from the MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE allegiance abilities, and that is Unrelenting Conqueror. So add 1 to run rolls for Tamurkhan Horde units while they are wholly within 14 inches of the general. Yeah, this is like one of the reasons why no one really takes the Tamurkhan Horde allegiance too much, is because that command trait is terrible. The only thing that could be worse about it is if it was shorter range, because it's not even within 14 inches, it's wholly within. So yeah, not a fan of that at all. Which is sad really, because the Tamurkhan Horde is the army of MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE I do have. I've got about 1,200 points, so it's not loads, but it's Forge Worlds. Because you know, this is the Forge World army, so it can be quite expensive to make 2,000 points. So the same as Allegiance is a massive, and that's why I think it's one of the worst one at tournaments at the moment, if not the worst, but hopefully they'll get some love soon. But anyway, on to the next allegiance ability, and this is the Artifact of Power. So the first Tamurkhan Horde hero to receive an Artifact of Power must be given the Demon Flask. So once per battle at the start of your hero phase, the bearer can use this artifact. If they do so, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 12 inches of the bearer. You can re-roll the dice for a unit that is a war machine or is within 3 inches of a terrain feature. On a 4+, that unit suffers a 1 mortal wound on a 6. that unit suffers a D3 mortal wounds instead of 1. Okay, that's alright. Not the best artifact, but could be worse. So yeah, that's what I mean. The artifacts and command traits are here. They're not as good as the best ones you can get at MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE. So that means, do you really want to take Tamurkhan Horde as your allegiance? Doesn't mean that you can't take Tamurkhan Horde models and units in your MAGGOTKIN of NURGLE army. But do you want to take the Tamurkhan Horde allegiance? Because the problem is that it looks cool. It's an allegiance within allegiance, so I'm just going to get extra abilities for the cost of nothing. Well, it's like a storm host for the Stormcast Eternals, where you can go the Hallowed Knights, the Hammers of Sigmar, any of those Celestial Vindicators, things like that, and you get additional abilities, but there's always attacks, and that's going to be what command trait and artifacts you can take. Sometimes they're worth it, but for the Tamurkhan Horde, I don't think so. Right, so now that we know the allegiance abilities, etc., let's see what units we have got in the Tamurkhan Horde. So again, we're going to start sort of at the bottom. You know how I like to do things, the basic units, and then we're going to build stuff up. However, the nice thing about Tamurkhan Horde, and the reason why I like them and I bought into them, is just because it's just basically their lore. It's, Tamurkhan, he is not a warrior himself. He is actually like a parasite, like a maggot that infects its host and then uses its host's body to do its will. So with that, he also leads basically like a warband of monstrous creatures. That's how he comes about. Also, apologies guys, ice cream van has just pulled out outside the house. Don't know if you guys can hear it on the audio. Hopefully not. It doesn't sound too loud to me, but I've got headphones on. Right, so with that little exception, well, I suppose, mention of Tamurkhan, maggots, parasites, ice cream, all sort of similar. Anyway, going on to it. So let's look at the most basic thing we've got. So I don't know, shall we have a look at Plague Ogres? So firstly, Plague Ogres. Now, Plague Ogres come in minimum-sized units of 3, maximum-sized units of 12, cost you 160 points, and they are 560 points for a unit of 12, so you do get a discount there. They're also going to be Battle Line and a Tamurkhan Horde army. So remember what I said a short while ago about why do you want to take the Tamurkhan Horde Allegiance? Now for me, and that's really the only sort of Nurgle stuff I've got, I have to sort of take it so I can take my Plague Ogres as Battle Line, so I've got 6 of them. So it has useful parts for it there. I think the ice cream band's going past again. Apologies guys if you can hear that. Anyway, so yeah, 160 points, so not incredibly expensive, but expensive enough to you to go, right, okay, what are we actually going to get for the points here? And with that, let's have a look at the War Scroll. So, description: a unit of Plague Ogres has any number of models, each armed with a corrosive weapon. So something I always say when I read out the description for a model for the first unit of a video I review. It does often say that you can have any number of models. Remember, that's open play, and I do talk about things as if we are just playing match play. Okay, so let's have a look at the will set. So I've got 5-inch movement, 5+ save, bravery 7, and 5 wounds. It's not bad. Pretty good bravery. All things well included. And the nice thing there is 5 wounds. Standard ogres only have 4. These ogres are definitely bigger than standard ogres as well. So it's nice how it's played that in there. I know that, they get the extra wing that's Nurgle and they're more resilient, but it's nice that they, incorporate the size of the model, I think, as well. Okay, so the melee weapons, we've got a corroded weapon, so 1-inch range, 3 attacks, force hit, force wound, master rend, 2 damage, a better ogre attack, so I like that. So again, into the abilities we have, the first one is a Damned Flesh. So if a model from this unit is slain after a wound, a mortal wound is allocated to it, roll a dice before the slain model is removed from play. On a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated and the model is not slain. So basically just a nice discussing resilience there with a little bit of difference. Okay, so the next one we've got is Unsatiable Famish. So you can re-roll hit rolls of 1s for attacks made by this unit if the unit made a charge move in the same turn. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty solid. And the next one we've got is Plague Contagion. So at the end of the combat phase, you can roll 1 dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit. On a 5+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay, so dashed at the end of the combat phase. Yeah, needs to happen on a 5+. However, if you looked at the alternative here, which could be enemy units within 1 inch and a 4+ have a D3 mortal wounds. Now, it's not so easy on a 4+ because it's a 5+. However, 3-inch range. Anything that's in combat with it is eligible for this, so that's good. And the nice thing here as well is it says enemy units, not any units. Big difference there. So going on to keywords, we've got Chaos Ogre, Nurgle, and then Plague Ogres. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at, we're going to... let's have a look at the Bile Troll, shall we? Because I've got 6 of these as well, and I do love me a Bile Troll, unless you're playing a Vermintide, and they are not one of the nicest things to come across, shall we say? So, anyway, the Bile Troll. So, they come in size units of 3, max size units of 12. They are 180 points for free. There is no Legion discount, and they are an other unit as they are not battle line. Okay, so let's have a look to see what these Bile Trolls are like. So, looking at the description, a unit of Bile Trolls has any number of models, each armed with infected vomit and rusted axes and cleavers. So they've got a 5-inch movement, a 4+ save, a bravery 5 and 5 wounds. Me personally, I feel like they should have 6 wounds because they are huge. Like I've got one right next to me right now, and they are really quite massive. For something that only has 5 wounds, but there we go. But you take them in units, don't you? But they've got a 4+ save, which is good. Bravery not too good, but that's standard with trolls. So yeah, I'm happy to be honest with the will stats. Would have just like 1 more wound, but you know, they're not bad. Okay, then going into weapons, we've got 2. We've got 1 missile weapon and we've got 1 melee weapon. So the missile weapon is infected vomit, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's got a 7-inch range, 1 attack, freeze hit, freeze wound, -2 rend, and D3 damage. I love me a infected vomit as long as I'm the one throwing it at the enemy rather than the other way around, and that's something you definitely do come across on a night out in England. So with those attack characteristics, yeah, you only get 1. It's only 7-inch range, but freeze the hit, freeze wound, -2 rend, D3 damage. More than likely you're going to get it off. Especially, you know, in a unit 3, more likely to get 1 off. I'd take unit 6s and just go bleh, and just delete like massive units of thralls. I had great fun doing that. And yeah, they do have a melee weapon as well, but the puking of vomit onto your enemy and melting them is the real character trait for this unit, and something we should all focus on. It actually reminds me of a bit of older artwork of river trolls fighting Empire swordsmen, I think they are, in like some sort of river. It's like just like a drawing one. It's not like coloured, but you do get the lovely pictures and stuff of just like the acid being puked onto the Empire soldiers and then just melting under the acids that are in the vomit. So yeah, you really can picture it, which is cool. Anyway, so going into the melee weapons, we've got rusted axes and cleavers. So this is 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 hit, 3 swim, master rend, and 2 damage. Good standard attacks. Nice to see it there. Interestingly, the same attacks we've got for the Plague Ogres, however, it's got another inch range. Right, so let's have a look at the abilities. So we've got infected vomit. So if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with the unit's infected vomit is a 6, that attack inflicts a 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. So it's not like 1 mortal wound instead of the D3 and you think, oh, is it really, you know, a good thing to get those 6s? Nope, it's additional. And if you're using this vomit correctly, and it's quite hard because, you know, picking targets, short range, but if you're using it on things that have got really good saves, because you probably will be, because you've got -2 rend with it, and you also got a chance to do mortal wounds against those things as well, so it really does go hand in hand, which is really quite nice. Right, and then the next one we're going to look at is Effectuant Regeneration. So in your heal phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to this unit. Trolls healing wounds, nice to see it's carried over to Nurgle. Not much else to say to that, because I've always talked about how healing wounds are very important, especially in your Nurgle army. Just lovely, fantastic. So looking at the keywords, we've got Chaos Troll, Nurgle, and Bile Trolls. Now, are they worth 180 points? It's an interesting question, because if you just read that War Scroll and you're quite new to Age of Sigmar, you think 180 points, not bad, sign me up, I'll take 6 of them. Now, I was very much the same, but I wasn't new to Age of Sigmar, I just really wanted the models. The problem is, when you compare points for units and think, are they worth it, are they not, you can read the War Scroll, but it all comes down to how good that unit's synergy is with the rest of the army. As these Bile Trolls, for example, on paper, on their War Scroll, they're good. You know, I would say they're worth 180 points. However, do they add that much synergy to your army? Not really at all. If you're taking a, you know, grand mix of, you know, Maggotkin of Nurgle units, you're probably going to want to have the 180 points or something else. Probably a hero to add some synergy, maybe some magic. Maybe a unit that's going to benefit from a said hero or wizard. And with that, if you're not going to Tamurkhan Horde full force allegiance within the Mad King of Nurgle, they're probably not worth it. And that's the same with the Plague Ogres. Now, if you ask, so that's my, honest opinion on what I think competitively they are for. But if you ask me what I honestly think myself, my own personal opinion, I really like Bile Trolls. They are probably my favourite Nurgle unit. I do like the, what they call the Blight Lords. I think they are cool, as I've talked about before. But the Bile Trolls, lovely. Because it's just an army of trolls, isn't it? And I know they're not battle lines, so you can't do that before anyone says anything. But you can just take some cheaper battle line. Can't you? Take the... I say cheaper battle line, I mean the Bile Ogres. But you can really have some fun with the Bile Trolls. And I did call the other ones Bile Ogres, obviously Plague Ogres. But yeah, so I really like... I just love the... For me, I do play Age of Sigmar competitively. But I am all about the story and the scene you create on the battlefield with the models you put down. And just imagining just that infected vomit melting little pointy-eared elves. Lovely. Or melting Stormcast in their armour. Like, oh, I can't, the acid's on the armour, but I can't take the armour off because it's stupidly too strong and all this, and I'm a Stormcast. And I can go, not going to say the rest. However, it means that a Stormcast has got nothing to think about apart from, if only its armour was easier to take off, then it could hopefully try and make sure the acid didn't go in their own skin, rather than dying such a horrible death. And that image of that Stormcast trapped and suffering, and knowing that he has got nothing else to look forward to apart from being corroded and melted until he's nothing more than a puddle, and see his light go up into the sky to be reforged again in that painstaking progress of getting smacked by a hammer repeatedly, being forged into his armour. That little picture there can really do miracles in making you remember that there is always hope that a Stormcast will die a horrible death. So anyway, that aside, let us move on to the next unit. But before we do that, I'd just like to say, if you are still listening to this, congratulations, you have made it through to where I decided to start recording this video again, because I stopped it just because it was literally too hot that day. And here we are a little bit later where it's much more cooler now, so there's no more fan in the background or anything like that. So it should be a better audible, hopefully. And I could have restarted the whole video, however, I didn't really want to get rid of 17 minutes already edited of video. Didn't really want to redo that, as if I did redo that, I would not really spend much time on the units because I couldn't really be bothered. Right, so then moving on to the next unit, and this is going to be the Demon Plague Toads of Nurgle. So these guys are actually a battle line unit in a Tamurkhan Horde army, or going to be another unit in any other army. Now they come in minimum size units of 3, maximum size units of 12. They can cost you 120 points for free, or they're going to cost you 400 points for 12, which means you're going to get a discount of 80 points, which is pretty good to be honest. But let us see if they are actually any good first before we give them that credit. So looking at the War Scroll description, a unit of Demon Plague Toads of Nurgle has any number of models, each armed with a grasping tongue and a yawning maw. And it says this unit can fly. So that's quite cool. They can fly, obviously because they hop around and all that sort of thing. It's good they've got that rule. Right, and then moving on to their will stats, we've got a movement of 7 inches, a 5+ save, a bravery 10, and 4 wounds. Save of 5+ isn't particularly good. However, for the sort of unit they are, they're not wearing particularly much armour along those lines. They are just, big bloated toads, aren't they? So, yeah, fair enough. Movement of 7. Does sound slow, but in the Mad King of Nurgle Allegiance, there's so many other ways we've talked about before in previous videos. How to make them faster, not too bad. Wounds of 4, okay, that'll do. Right, so looking at the weapons, we've got 2. Now the first one is a missile weapon, and this is going to be the Grasping Tongue. So this has a 7-inch range, 1 attack, force hit, force wound, no rend, and 1 damage. And then it's a melee weapon, it's going to be the Yawning Maw, and this is a 1-inch range, 2 attacks, force hit, force wound, no rend, and D3 damage. Thank God for that, otherwise I was going to say not particularly good at attacks at all. Right, okay, then going into the ability, we've got Bloated Flesh. So roll a dice each time you allocate a mortal wound to a model in this unit. On a 4+, that mortal wound is negated. That's cool, that's good. They've got a 4-up save against mortal wounds. That means 50% of all mortal wounds they're going to take are going to be ignored. And then the last ability we've got are Rot Eaters. So it says, If this unmodified hit roll for an attack made with this unit's Yawning Maw is a 6, that attack inflicts 2 hits on target instead of 1. Make a save roll for each hit. Okay, that is good. Mainly because I was looking at attacks and thinking, you know, what is the sort of point of these guys even being in existence at this point? Because those attacks are pretty goddamn dreadful. However, the Yawning Maw is good because what it does is it inflicts, like I say, 2 hits if you roll a 6 to hit with the attack. And the reason why that's important, it doesn't say it generates an extra attack, it just goes straight into you making those wound rolls. So it's like the Sinesh Allegiance ability, which is very good. Right, okay, and then it also says Summon Demons of Nurgle. So 1 unit of 3 Demon Plague Toads of Nurgle can be summoned to the battlefield using the Summon Demons of Nurgle battle trait for 14 contagion points. So they are demons, so you can summon them in via contagion points like you would in the Maggokin of Nurgle book. And then going into keywords, we've got Chaos Demon, Nurgle Demon, Plague Toads of Nurgle. So what do I think about them? I don't think they're particularly amazing, to be honest. However, you've got to give them credit because they're not that expensive in points. 120 points. Now, they're not that expensive. However, as always, there are probably better things that you can take in the Nurgle army. And I know you can because I've already reviewed all the units. There are better ways to spend 120 points. However, if you want to go full narrative or something like that and you just want cool models, go with them. If you're going with just a Tamurkhan Horde themed army and you want some of these guys, crack on, put them in there. I've got a Tamurkhan Horde army myself for about 1,200 points. I think it's 1220 points. And yeah, there wouldn't be a reason for me not to put these in. Just have a bit of fun. Just have like toads just jumping around and literally just snapping up the enemies with their tongue and eating them and then burping and then hopping along and eating something else. Does sound quite hilarious. Right, okay, so with that, we're going to move on to our next unit, which is going to be a very, very, very similar, because of course it's going to be the Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle, and if you guessed it, these are the Plague Toads of Nurgle, apart from they've got a Plague Bearer on top of them, so they're literally just the cavalry version. Right, so we've got a minimum-sized unit of 3, for 160 points, and maximum size units of 12, and there's no Legion discount, and they're not going to be battle line for any reason. Another good reason about the last one, which is that the standard Plague Toads, is they are battle line. So, you know, like if you want to fill in a slot and you didn't want to just do it with your ogres, but you want to go fiend with Tamurkhan Horde, it's another option. Right, okay, so with that in mind, let us see what we're going to get for 160 points, shall we? Right, so looking at the description, a unit of Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle has any number of models, each armed with a Plague Sword. This is a mount, so this unit's Plague Toad each attacks with its grasping tongue and yawning maw, like we just looked at. And it says this unit can fly. Yep, cool, we've seen that before. Then looking at the will stats, we're going to have movement of 7, same. Save 5+, same. Bravery 10, same. Wounds 5, so 1 more wound because there's a Plague Bear on top of it, which I think is nice because sometimes they don't always take that into effect for some stupid reason, so it's nice that they are doing it there. Right, okay, and then we've got 3 weapons. So the first one is the Grasping Tongue, we already just reviewed that, and then the melee weapons, we've got the Yawning Maw, just reviewed that, and we've also got the Plague Sword, so I'll just go with the Plague Sword. So we've got a 1-inch range, 1 attack, 4 hit, 3 wound, and no rend with a 1 damage. So not a really fantastic attack, however, we weren't expecting much from that Plague Sword, as we've already reviewed the Plague Swords for the Plague Bearers. Right, okay, and then going to the abilities, we've got Blade of Flesh again, so the 4-up save against mortal wounds, Cloud of Flies, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons that target this unit. Okay, so that's a new one, that's something from the Plague Bearers themselves that are doing. So, you know, the difference here with the Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle compared to the standard Plague Toads of Nurgle. So yeah, that's quite good, makes them much more durable because this shooting is starting to come back in Age of Sigmar. It was really powerful once upon a time, then it's taken a massive hit when second edition came out. When I say a massive hit, it wasn't really that big, but it just basically made it a lot more manageable and stopped it being overpowered as so much. But now it's starting to come back with some punch to it. Okay, so and then the next one we've got is Locus of Ferocity. So you can reroll save rolls of 1 for attacks that target this unit while this unit is wholly within 14 inches of a friendly Nurgle hero. So we're starting to see the wholly, aren't we, for the abilities and stuff, because these rules are more updated than the rules we've got in the Maggokin of Nurgle book. but wholly within 14 inches isn't hard, particularly how it's just a friendly Nurgle hero. It's not a Nurgle demon, which I would have thought it would have been, but no, it's just a Nurgle hero. Okay, and then the next one we've got is the Rot Eaters, which is when the guys attack with their Yawning Maw and they roll a 6 to hit, they make 2 wound rolls. Okay, and then it says Summon Demons of Nurgle. So 1 unit of 3 Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle can be summoned to the battlefield using the Summon Demon of Nurgle battle trait for 21 contagion points. Bloody hell, that's gone up a lot since the Plague Toads of Nurgle just by themselves. Yeah, I don't know if they're really worth that many points. And then going into the keywords, we've got Chaos Demon Nurgle, Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle. Very, very simple. Okay, so these guys, are they worth it? I'm going to say no in a Maggotkин of Nurgle army. Personally, just because there's better things you can take. 160 points, that's a lot of points now. There's a lot better things you can take for that. Within that army as well, the army is so big as it is. So many options. In a Tamurkhan Horde army, do I think they're worth it? Again, I think there's better units than the Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle, rather than taking them themselves, in all honesty. But then again, like I say, if you want to go for a theme of it, and they are quite cool models. They are quite expensive though, because you have to buy the Plague Toads, and then you have to buy the Pox Riders, which are Plague Bearers that ride on top of them, because obviously they don't sell them all together for a good price. They just sell them separately, so you have to buy them separately. And Games Workshop gets more and more money. Or when I say Games Workshop, Forge World, it's all the same company, isn't it? Right, so with those guys, they're not really worth it. I mean, if you wanted to cost effectively anyway, just model some Plague Bearers on it and try and model them on top of some Toads. But yeah, competitively, they're not all there in my personal opinion. They have got some nifty abilities, but they're not all there in my personal opinion. They're pretty durable though, I would just say the last point, because they've got that 4-up save against mortal wounds, subtract 1 from enemy shooting, and you can reroll the save rolls of 1 if you're within 14 inches, and that's wholly within of a Nurgle hero. So pretty durable unit, but there are more durable things you can take if that's what you want to go for. They won't be as fast as these more than likely, but they're pretty more durable things you can take, you know, generally in Nurgle. So yeah, not a massive fan for competitively, I would say, for these guys. Right, so with all the Toads out the way and everything else, that is then going to start putting us to look at the heroes. And there's only 2. There is Kazak the Befouled and Tamurkhan the Maggot Lord himself. So the first one we're going to look at is Kazak the Befouled, as we're going to build up to Tamurkhan after that. And I think I pronounce Tamurkhan's name differently each time. I'm not trying to do it on purpose, but I really feel like it's something I've developed. Right, so if we're going to look at Kazak, how many points is this guy going to cost you? It's going to cost you 120 points. He's a leader and he's also unique because, you know, in the Tamurkhan Horde army, surprise, surprise, the heroes are unique, they're named characters. Right, so looking at Kazak. So, description: Kazak the Befouled is a named character that is a single model. He is armed with obnoxious blades. So, mount this model's Rot Beast attacks with its slavering fangs. Now, something I just want to say about this model. This is one of my favourite models in the whole Tamurkhan Horde range. Just because I feel like the undead dog / not undead disease creature is such a nice model to paint. I've sort of I haven't finished painting it, but I sort of started and having loads of fun with it. And yeah, I think it's an awesome looking model. I think it would make a great Chaos Sorcerer like proxy, but it's on too big of a base. But anyway, let's get back to the rules. So, looking at its wheel stats, it's got a 7-inch movement, 3+ save, 7 bravery, and 7 wounds. So overall, not bad at all. They are good wheel stats you got there, and the 3+ save is very much welcomed. Right, so then looking at the weapons, we've got 2, and they're both melee weapons. So we've got obnoxious blades, we've got a 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend, and D3 damage. And then we've got the slavering fangs, so 1-inch range, D6 attacks, 4 to hit, 4 to wound, -1 rend, and 1 damage. So the attacks, they're alright, not amazing, but they're okay. Going into the abilities though, we've got Corrupted Flesh, which is roll a dice each time you allocate a mortal wound to this model, and a 4+ that mortal wound is negated, so similar to the Plague Toads. We've got a 50% chance of ignoring all mortal wounds, very nice. Then the Noxious Blade. So if the unmodified hit for an attack with the model's Noxious Blade is a 6, that attack has a damage characteristic of 3 instead of D3. Okay, so now with the combination of good to wound to hit characteristics, that weapon has became very nice. The only issue, no rend. Right, and then the last ability is a command ability. And you can use this command ability at the start of the Battle Shock phase if this model is on the battlefield, and this command ability is called a Breath of the Plague hit. So, if you do so, you do not have to make a Battle Shock test for friendly Nurgle units or while they're wholly within 14 inches of this model in that Battle Shock phase. Okay, so let us think about that. I would normally say, in this army, particularly a lot of demons, why would you bother with that? However, if you're going to be like me and you're going to take a lot of plague ogres and you're also going to take a bile trolls as well, let's just remind ourselves, plague ogres have a bravery of 7 and bile trolls have a bravery of 5. That's a bravery of 5 for a unit that is costing you 180 points for 3 models. You do not really want them running away at any stretch of the imagination. Right, so that command ability actually is pretty good in those certain situations. Again, if you're just feeding mass demons and you're just running around plague tags everywhere, I wouldn't worry about this. However, if you take a lot of trolls, you might want to consider having this guy in. And like I said, we've got keywords Chaos Mortal Nurgle, Tamurkhan Horde, Hero Kazarak the Profound. So for me personally, I will have this guy in my army, mainly because I really like the model, and that's enough for me to have him in there. Secondly, because I'm taking a lot of bile trolls, so I feel like I might want this guy in there for that reason. But most importantly, it's because I only have 1220 points and I really need more of these guys. So anything that adds points to the army will be going in the army for sure. But looking at this guy, is he really worth 120 points in a normal Making of Nurgle army? No, I wouldn't really say so. If you want to go really mortal side and have this guy in there to stop you guys running away, you could do that. There are other ways to stop you guys running away though, but this command ability could be quite useful. The only problem is wholly within 14 inches of him in the Battle Shock phase. So it's not the shortest range, but it's not exactly like the fucking Lord Citizen on Strakoff. That's like, yeah, everything within 24 inches, you know, basically everything on the board doesn't take Battle Shock because I'm Stormcast and I'm paying the fucking ass. But this guy does his best nonetheless. So if you want to go that route, he could be good. Otherwise, I wouldn't take him for the points. Right, then moving on to the big man himself. And when I say big man, I mean a big parasite is probably a better way to describe him. A little bit like Venom, but more toxic and a lot more deadly. And unlike Venom, this guy definitely does not work alongside its host. It just absolutely devours him and takes them into a monstrosity if they weren't already one. And he is going to cost you 420 points for Tamurkhan. Now, he's a leader and he's a behemoth. And he is unique, obviously, because this is his legion. And Tamurkhan is a leader of his horde and he has been around since the world that was. So, looking at him, we're going to start with his description. So, Tamurkhan, the Maggot Lord, is a named character that is a single model. He's armed with the Black Cleaver. So mount. This model's Toad Dragon, Bobulus, attacks with its lashing tongue, crushing jaws, and befoul bulk. So the fact that there's a thing called a Toad Dragon in this game is enough of a reason for you guys to want to buy one. I mean, really, that's all you sort of need, in my personal opinion. And that's why I bought one. So I thought, a Toad Dragon, that sounds cool. And it is cool. And it's absolutely fucking massive. Right, so looking at the wheel stats, we've got a movement of 10 inches to start with, as it's dash, referred to damage table. We've got a 4+ save and a bravery of 10 with an 18 wounds. 18 wounds is absolutely massive. Something not too strange with Forge Well, because quite a few of the Forge Well things are bigger, so they've got more wounds, but 18 wounds, most things in Sigmar do not have anything near 18 wounds. You know, 18 wounds, just talking the likes of, you're getting towards things like Archaon, you know, Magma Dragons, Dread Saurians, all these sorts of things. So 18 wounds is really quite big and really does show with Nurgle, you know, it's more durable. And being Nurgle, you can make it even more so durable, of course. So looking at the weapons, we have got a missile weapon and we've got 3 melee weapons. So looking at the missile weapon first, we've got the Lashing Tongue, 14-inch range, 1 attack, force hit, force wound, no rend, D3 damage. Sort of just like a bigger version of the Togue Lashing Tongue. So okay, but no rend there, which is something we can see quite a lot with this army. The lack of rend really does make it a bit hard to punch through the armour, but the rend is going to be made up for in its melee weapons, as we're about to see. So we've got the Black Cleaver, which a range of 2 inches, 4 attacks, 3 hit, 3 wound, -2 rend, and 2 damage. We've got the Crushing Jaws, which is a 3-inch range, 2 attacks, and it starts with a 3+ to hit, but it will get harder as it's got a star characteristic to hit. 2+ to wound, -3 rend, and D3 damage. And then we got the Befold Bulk, which is 2-inch range. It starts with 12 attacks, but again, star symbol, so it will get weaker. And then you'll need a 4+ to hit, a 3+ to wound, rend of -1, and damage 1. Okay, so to look at that, they're alright, the attacks, but for a monster, and for a particularly unique leader, so you can't give him any artifacts or anything like that, or command trait, the fact that this guy is going to cost you 420 points, I would have liked his Black Cleaver to do 3 damage. I would like the Crushing Jaws to do 3 damage, because yes, they're -3 rends, but you only get 2 attacks. And the Befold Bulk would have been awesome if it was 2 damage. That might be going a bit too far, but certainly for the Black Cleaver, should be 3 damage, and for the Crushing Jaws, should be 3 damage as well. That's just my personal thoughts, but here we are. Anyway, then going into the abilities. So we've got Feast of the Maggot Lord. So if this model is slain, before this model is removed from play, you can pick 1 enemy hero in 3 inches of this model. That hero suffers D3 mortal wounds. If that hero is slain by these mortal wounds, this model is not slain. D6 wounds allocated to this model are healed, and any that remain to be allocated to it are negated. If that hero is not slain by these mortal wounds, this model is removed from play. So basically, that's the whole thing about the maggot within it being able to, you know, basically possess a new host or something like that. You know, you've killed the body, but the parasite's still there, and that was actually what was in control rather than the host body it had taken on. Right, so that's quite cool, and especially it's quite a nice way to make this thing just even more durable. Again, might not happen, and very situational, but still, an enemy here is probably going to go after this guy because they need to take him down. Right, then you're looking at the Killer of Kings, which is the next ability, so you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with this model's Black Cleaver that target a hero. Cool, but I still would rather that Black Cleaver do 3 damage. Right, and then Nurgle's Favoured Son, so in your hero phase you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to this model. Cool, fantastic, just keeps this model alive longer. And then command ability, so Roar of Command. So you can use this command ability at the start of your charge phase. If this model is your general and is on the battlefield, if you do so, you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Tamurkhan Horde units while they are wholly within 28 inches of this model in the charge phase. So wholly within, bear that in mind, but 28 inches. You play this right, most things in your army will be able to reroll their charges, which is good, opposed to you spending, you know, the points to reroll the charge, you know, individually, like you can do your command, you know, points and stuff. You know, there's that unique one, isn't there? I forget what it's called. But anyway, so with this, it's an alternative way of doing it, and it's a much more effective way, and also just makes Tamurkhan be able to reroll his charges. And then we're going to look at the keywords, which are going to be quite simple, aren't they? So we've got Chaos Mortal, a Dragon, Nurgle, Tamurkhan Horde, Hero, Monster, Tamurkhan, the Maggot Lord. So the fact that Nurgle has got a dragon, and it's called Toe Dragon, like I say, is enough reason to get this guy. But competitively, no, this guy isn't very good. I'll be honest, 420 points. This guy, I've already talked about the attacks. He's quite fun, he's got some nifty abilities that are quite cool, but it's not worth 420 points. You know, like in the same way that, yeah, sure, you can play a Stormcast army, but you're never going to know what friendship is like. So with this guy, I'd say in a Tamurkhan Horde army itself, definitely have him in there. If you don't have him in there, you're not doing it right, in my personal opinion. Yes, I just said he's not worth his points, but have him in the army. He's fucking Tamurkhan himself. Make sure that he's leading his own horde. Right, so that's my personal opinion, and also it's a massive model, and it's really quite cool. You know, he's massively bigger than Archaon. I'm not talking about Dorgoth Mount, I'm talking about Archaon on top. which is quite cool because at this moment in time, the maggot that is Tamurkhan has possessed an ogre, hence why he is massive, and he's got a massive axe called the Black Lever. So that is all the units for the Tamurkhan Horde. Now we are going to look at something else, and this is going to be their 2 battalions they have got. Yes, they have got 2 battalions. Are they worth talking about? Not really, but I can't say I've completely covered Nurgle without looking at these battalions, and they are big battalions. So the first one we're going to look at is going to be Sons of the Maggot Lord, which sounds good. Promising start, doesn't it? Right, okay, so organisation. Now, you need to have 1 Tamurkhan, the Maggot Lord, so the guy we just talked about, Kazarat the Befouled, his best buddy, 3 units of Plague Ogres, that's your battle line sorted, 1 unit of Bile Trolls, and a 0 to 1 gigantic Chaos Spawn with the Nurgle keyword. That is another Forge World unit. So you don't have to have it, but you can do. So quite manageable. 2,000 points, that's your battle line sorted. That's your general sorted. And you've got an extra unit of Bile Trolls, which you can have like a unit of 6 if you really want to. You really want to max them out. Right, but let's look at the abilities. The Tide of Conquest. Add 1 to charge rolls for units from this army in this battalion. Right, yeah, I'd much rather have literally anything fucking else. I mean, yeah, what, sounds cool getting that +1 to charge, but it's not. It's, you know, it's good because then it means like, well, you don't fail 3-inch charges, but it's a battalion. That's costing me 160 points. I can have another unit of bloody Plague Ogres at this point. So, yeah, not interested. Right, and then we've got the Leaping Pox. And this is for any of you that are crazy about Plague Toads of Nurgle. Because essentially, this is going to cost you 170 points. So more. Organisation. 3 units of Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle. And then 2 to 3 units of Demon Plague Toads of Nurgle. So you can make them be essentially a battle line friendly battalion, having 3 battle line units for 2,000 points and 2 battle line units for 1,000 points. Right, and then going into the abilities. So in your hero phase, roll dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch of any units from this battalion. On a 4-up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. This has no effect on Nurgle units. Right, at this point, it's literally like, what the fuck? Why bother writing this down? I mean, a 4+. Yeah, that's not bad, but what? For each unit, it's not each model or anything like that, or, you know, like, you get to roll for each one of these units, you know, each one of the units from this battalion, you get to roll separately for each of them. No, you just roll 1 flat all. So if you're just swarming something, you're only going to roll 1 dice for it. And then worse, if you're fighting against another Nurgle army, it doesn't do anything. That's for 170 points. Spend another 10 points, and you get yourself 3 more Bile Trolls. Now that is my buying advice to you guys. And unfortunately, I don't want to end it with that about this army, because this army is really, really cool. Unfortunately, there is a reason why this army has actually been statistically, not voted, but just statistically, in any tournament it's been to, has been the worst army in Age of Sigmar. It performs the worst, the Tamurkhan Horde Allegiance, but I do not always look at that as a bad thing. I look at that as, yes, I will take that challenge. I will try and go to a tournament, and I will try and win 1 game. So if I can win 1 or potentially 2 games, I've done better than anyone else out there in the world, according to the stats. So that is the challenge I look. That's why I look to do my Slaves of Darkness army, because with that army, if I win a game, yep, brilliant. I'm like better than, what, 50% of people who use that army. And that is why I always like taking these challenges. It's boring playing an army that's really good. That's why I don't really play my fleshy courts anymore, because it's just pain in the bloody arse playing an army that no one really cares for you if you play that army, and they just wish you died in a drain somewhere. Anyway, guys, so that is the end of the review for this Tamurkhan Horde allegiance within the Maggotkин of Nurgle allegiance. And that is going to mean that we're going to talk about the next things for the Maggotkин of Nurgle when we get to their next video. And that's going to either be the Clan Pestilence for Skaven, which you can put in there, or it's going to be looking at the Beast of Chaos, the Nurgle battalion you can take. Put them in there, but I don't have the Beast of Chaos Battle Tome yet. I don't know if I am going to get it, but we'll see nonetheless what I can do with it. So guys, I wanted to tell you that, a little bit of apologies for this video coming out quite a bit late. Essentially what happened is that, so when I was doing this video, like I said, it's really hot, and I decided, you know what, I'll stop it and I'll do it when it's cooler like I've done now, so we haven't got the fan in the background at this point in time. Or I don't sound like I'm talking underwater when I try and edit the sound out of the fan, which didn't really work for like the first 1 minute of this video. So if you have watched the first like minute and you think I can't stand the audio, don't worry, it does get better. But also then I recently had like a flu, so inflicted by Nurgle. Still got it a bit now, so I have to keep clearing my throat every so often. But I wanted to get a video out to you guys. I haven't done one for about a week, and I thought I haven't done the Nurgle for a while, and I want to, you know, crack on one of them to get their series completed within the Army Archive. So guys, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe and comment down below. It's all absolutely free for you guys to do so, and massively helps support the channel in more ways you can imagine. If you'd like to support the channel a step further, you're more than welcome to go and check out my Patreon, which there's going to be a link in the description, and this is a way for me to be able to get some funds towards the channel, as YouTube doesn't really pay anything. The funds towards the channel really do go to help towards me getting things like Battle Tome, so I can, for example, get the Beast of Chaos Battle Tome to be able to review that properly with a Nurgle. I can't really review it, and then that means I can give like a full review on the army, which is a shame. For me to be able to get a better microphone, like a camera, for all those sorts of things, and also for me to justify my time I put into this channel. And above all, it's just a really, really good way to help support the channel grow if you do enjoy the content. And on that note, I'd like to thank my vampires who are on Patreon, these people who give at least $5 a month to me, which really does help to all those reasons I've already said. And this is going to be to Max, Simon, and Martin. So thank you very much again, guys, for your continued support. And I'd like to thank also the people who give like $1 to me a month. So that does massively help as well. And if you can't support me on Patreon, that's absolutely fine. I'm just really glad that you came and watched this video. And if you're listening to this point, thank you very much for watching all the way through. That does make a massive difference. And thank you to all my subscribers. So guys, until next time, remember, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.